Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the July 30th, 2024 Board of County Commissioners meeting. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first thing on our agenda are minutes, which were all sent out. Gentlemen, do you have any additions or corrections?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I move to approve the proceedings of the Board of County Commissioners for Montezuma County on Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024, as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the proceedings of the Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County for July 23rd, 2024. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, planning. All right, the first one we have public hearing continued from July 23rd. Set aside at this time. Kim, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Candelaria.
Here.
Commissioner Lindsay.
Here.
Commissioner Copenhaver.
Here.
Administrator Anderson.
Here.
Attorney McLaren.
Here.
And Kim Purcell, Montezuma County Clerk and Recorder. Notice is hereby given that the Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners will hold a public hearing for review and determination regarding a proposed subdivision amendment and AR3-9 rezoning application to lot number 1 of Clarence Williams, 2-lot minor subdivision submitted by Robert Williams, agent Darryl Dempsey, on property located at 24499 Road G.1, Cortez, Colorado, consisting of 21.54 acres, more or less, located east of Highway 160-491 north of Road G, situated in Section 3, Township 35 North, Range 16 West, N.M.P.M. The hearing will be held Tuesday, July 30th, 2024 at 9 a.m. in the Commissioner's Hearing Room, Montezuma County Administrative Offices, 109 West Main, Cortez, Colorado. Interested persons may attend and give input. Information may be obtained from the Planning Office online services at https://co-montezuma-co.smartgovcommunity.com public home. You may also contact the Planning Department at 970-565-2801 with questions. Dated this 11th day of July, 2024, Kim Purcell, Clerk, Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County, Colorado, published in the Journal on Wednesday, July 16th, 2024.
All right, thank you, Kim. Okay, Don, would you give us an overview, please?
Sure. The applicant is proposing to subdivide Lot 1 of the Clarence Williams 2-lot minor. Would split off the north part of Lot 1. Existing residences. There's a shop and a residence there on the south portion. They're just splitting off the north, and Mr. Dempsey is proposing to build a house there on the north along the extended driveway there. P&Z was unanimous to recommend it for approval. The only condition was to verify a water tap from Montezuma Water District 1. It is outside their district. The subdivision lot is right there at the end of G1, is the end of their district. They eventually held a couple of meetings and did agree to provide an out-of-district water tap for this lot, but that's that maxes out that line, that section there. We did get an email though that they would provide a water tap right there at the corner of or at the end of G1, and then the applicant is required to run the line from there to the future residents.
Okay. Would you like to add anything, sir? No? All right. Commissioners, questions?
I don't have any.
The people that have the other lot of the original subdivision sign off on this?
Yeah, it's Robert Williams is the owner of of the current lot. And that was his dad that created the subdivision. And he still is the residence there on Lot 1.
So, I mean, access is my question, like it always is. Looking at the map, that just kind of, the driveway that's kind of depicted, is that?
That will be a dedicated easement across what would be 1A, or 1B, and then up to the north for 1A.
So, 30, 60, what? I mean, is there enough to get the utilities and everything in there?
Yeah, it'll be at least 30-foot easement. I don't remember exactly. I can check the Mylar if you need that information.
Okay. All right.
I have questions.
You do have?
No. I
Okay.
don't.
All right, well then, we did not open this up for public hearing last time, so I will open this up for, I'm sorry, public comment. We are in a public hearing. Anybody wishing to speak for or against this application, please come forward to the podium, state your name and address for the record prior to providing your comments, and you may address the board at this time. All right, seeing no public comment, I'll close the public comment session of this application and bring it back to the board. Gentlemen,
I don't have any.
no questions? The only thing that I will caution you, because we've seen this in the past, make sure you have good communication with your neighbor, because you are going to be driving through that property, even though it's a dedicated easement. It seems like roads are always a contentious issue. So just a cautionary thing as you move forward. All right, gentlemen.
I would so move we accept the proposed subdivision amendment and AR3-9 rezoning application to Lot 1 of Clarence Williams, 2-lot minor subdivision submitted by Robert Williams, agent Darryl Dempsey, on property located at 24499 Road G.1, Cortez.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the proposed subdivision amendment and AR3-9 rezoning application to the lot number 1 of Clarence Williams, Lot 2 minor subdivision submitted by Robert Williams, agent Darryl Dempsey, on property located at 24499 Road G1, Cortez, Colorado. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. This public hearing is closed. You are approved, sir. The motion is
Thank you.
passed. Thank you. Okay, then it looks like you actually have a Mylar to
We
deal
do.
with this.
So we can sign that now, or you can sign it at the end, whichever your preference.
I think we have 9:20 is my next start time, so I've got a lot of time unless you have anything
Yeah.
else you'd like to present.
And the 9:20 is not a public hearing. It was a continued variance application, so I don't think we're dead set to wait till 9:20. We just,
I would suggest waiting till 9:20, just
Okay.
because that's what the agenda says. I know it's not a public hearing, but since
Fair
we
enough.
put 9:20 on the agenda, let's stick to it.
all right, we can do the Mylar now then.
Roll it out, and we'll take 10 minutes.
Yeah, we did. Stranger going
Good. I was going to call you and say, let's go ski last night. but you were probably out there.
I was out there, yeah.
Dang it.
Yeah, I was running open gym. It would have been a nice night.
Just give me the keys to your boat. I'll make sure it's
Yeah, there you go. So it's running well right now, so. Fingers crossed though, neck and chicken.
Oh, I know.
You know how that goes.
I still, they're just littler now.
Yeah.
Commissioner Candelaire, we need to take a quick recess. We're having some technical difficulties. The screen's going black and we have to reset the system.
All right.
We got
Well, then, we do have time before our next agenda item, so we will just take a recess at this time until we get the issue fixed. All right, we're back on, and we'll do the best that we can with our one screen today. Anyway, the next we have, well, I've got to wait another minute. So give me one more minute. IT didn't take quite long enough.
Nope, we're making headway. I'm gonna have to change the China clock. What time is it? I'll have to change it.
Okay, now we're good. Now we'll continue. It
Ready
is
to roll.
9:20, and we do have a discussion as far as a zoning variance application submitted by Mr. Bill F. Ragland. We can start with you, Don, or do you want to go right straight to Ian?
Just a reminder is that the Raglands owned Stoner Top property there on the left side, 15 acres, and they also own the 100 and some acre ag land, and they are just wanting to do a boundary line adjustment from the ag land to Stoner Top to encompass the legacy waste from the sawmill logging operation that's existed there for a few decades. That property is zoned light industrial, so in conveying the 5 acres from the ag land, they would like the variance to include that 5 acres in the light industrial zoning, where it lies under the tri-state power line easement and south of their substation, just to clean that all up.
Okay. So I think our discussion last week was because of it's moving a light industrial zoning onto an agricultural piece of property, and it's not the entire piece of property. I think that's where we were hung up at. So Ian, you were going to do a little bit more research on
Yeah.
it, so give us your
So-
update.
So for a variance in a circumstance like this, the first thing you need to show is an extraordinary or exceptional situation. I think here Don talked about the legacy waste that exists on that property. And also I think the grandfathered use here is important because in essence Stoner Top was operating as a light industrial zone property since the implementation of the land use code. So I think you probably, if you do want to go forward with this, there's an argument to be made that this is an exceptional situation in that, again, you've got legacy waste on a agriculturally zoned property. The second thing that you have to show is that strict application of land use code would result in undue hardship. In this case, if the land use code was strictly applied, in essence, what that would mean was that this individual would have to, in essence, subdivide off a piece of this ag land and then apply for rezoning there, and then you would have 2 different pieces of property that were zoned light industrial. I think that an argument could be made here that that would result in undue hardship. The last 2 things you have to look at is whether granting this variance causes detriment to the public good, and it can't cause detriment to the public good. I'm not seeing here that adding this small sliver of ag land to this area that's already zoned light industrial is going to create a detriment to the public good. Obviously there seems to be a buffer there anyway because these people own the adjacent ag land. So it's not as if a neighbor's butted up right against this new zone. And then I guess the last thing you would have to look at is whether granting this variance would substantially impair the intent of the land use code. That one's a little tougher because, obviously the land use code put in zoning regulations to ensure that people went through the process when they were rezoning property. And you certainly don't want to set a precedent that allows for light industrial or heavy industrial or commercial or whatever the zoning is, whatever these zones are, to expand through the result of variances. That's the danger here. If you grant this today, you conceivably are setting up a situation where you could have that sort of expansion, and I don't think that's what the land use code conceived of. Now, you have to weigh that against this overarching piece that this is an extraordinary situation. You're not harming the public good, and strict application of land use code would result in, I think, undue hardship to these folks. And so, it's really in your guys' court. I think that this, this certainly fits a lot of the pieces of what you need to look at for a variance. I think what you need to consider is whether this impairs the intent and purpose of the land use code. I'm not sure that it does. I mean, this is not a giant expansion of the zone. This is simply a slight expansion of the zone to incorporate legacy waste, which makes a lot of sense practically for these people and for our community to just line things up so what's on the zoning map is equal to what's on the ground.
Okay.
Did you get that?
Well, yeah, I got it. I just,
got it.
So what, to the applicant, I'm just, the legacy waste is just waste that's been there over a period of years, and it's not really, it's just like.
Yes, sir. We kind of inherited it when we bought the property there. It was already started there before we started working there, and we didn't really realize the line. We didn't identify the line when we bought the property, and we was under the understanding that it was farther down in the bottom of the draw there, and we never questioned it. And we was wanting to get the land surveyed for BF there, and then that's how that we realized that we was out of the property line. And we had accumulated this waste over there, and we thought that maybe if we could just give it to Stoner Top or deed it to Stoner Top, well, then that would take care of that part of it, because nobody would want to buy that little piece of legacy waste there that it's on there, and it would kind of put a detriment to the value of the property in a way, and it's benefiting Stoner Top because they are using it to do his work. We've got a chipper there and some stuff there. We've been using it for several years, and like I say, we wasn't. I guess it's our fault. We didn't identify the line, but that's the way it was. That's the way it is, and we just want to try and, like you say, clean it up and make it a little better for both parties.
So my other question then is if this is granted, Don, would that property line be at least a minimum of 30 feet away for those chips or pile, or I don't know if it's just chips or sawdust or?
Well, it's just like a sawdust and edging and just sawmill waste, you might say.
At least away from that property line, so if anything ever had to get through there?
There is access. That's a tri-state 100-foot wide easement, and there's an existing access road down through there that they currently use on a regular basis, and that is kept maintained for access.
For access to the power line?
Correct.
Okay.
There's that little piece there has never been used for agriculture in any way. There's never been a plow or anything put on that side of the drainage. Like I said, they must, that was just kind of the established line, or what we thought it was that drainage, see, and there was no agricultural, no plows or nothing on that side of the drainage at all. It's all sagebrush and some pinyon and cedar trees and
Yeah, it
stuff like
looks
that.
pretty wooded other than just that area that's being utilized, so that's all that I have, Commissioners.
I don't have anything. Darryl?
I see what they're trying to do, and I agree. It's better if we can get all of that under the same deal, especially if they're outside their boundary of where they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
I can understand that.
tying that waste into the industrial zone rather than having it laid out on the agricultural side.
Yeah.
Well, and I
If
think,
if it ever has to be dealt with,
Yeah,
that's what I'm getting at. If it's, at least it's on the right.
well, I think this is somewhat of a unique situation too. I mean, you're not talking about a massive expansion of an industrial zone. This is a fairly small expansion into ag land, and you've already got the light industrial there. I think if you were expanding out hundreds of acres for a large-scale industrial operation, then that certainly would fall under that idea of undermining the purpose of the code. Here, I think you can make the argument that because the expansion's so small, I'm not sure you're undermining the purpose of our land use code.
I don't,
I get the intent.
Yeah.
I think I'm like Gerald. I 100% get the intent. And they somewhat inherited this property, or the,
Yeah, we more or less inherited the waste when we bought the property, and we didn't realize it at the time. It's our own fault, I guess, but that's.
correct, and that's what I struggle with, is because then it looks like every variance that we give erodes the code, in my opinion. And I'm not a fan of variances anyway because of that. So this is just kind of a way to circumvent the code. Again, this is my opinion of the way that I understand it. And if it's arguable, like you said, then I think that,
I mean, the alternative would be to go through the process, to subdivide off the piece and then to apply for rezoning, and that would be completely in line with the code. Then you end up with two pieces of property, and maybe that's okay because the two pieces of property ultimately go together. But, again, that does
Which-
create some,
what if we approve a variance with a 2-year limit that if we don't have any complaints, then it goes through or something? Is that?
I don't know that that's really contemplated by statute. Certainly a variance is something that you guys approve because it's a unique situation that's going to create undue hardship, and it's not undermining the purpose of the code. And so if you make those findings, then you can approve a variance, but you can't really do it based on whether people object or not. My bigger concern with this one, honestly, is, yes, you can make some points that this is an extraordinary situation, but they're points that could be made in other situations that are similar to this. I can see a lot of properties, say down in the industrial park area, that butt up against ag land, that all of a sudden now, what if they decide they want to pull in some ag land to expand their operation or incorporate some waste that maybe they got over that borderline? Now all of a sudden you've got precedent with a variance of expanding an industrial zone or a light industrial zone without going through the process, and that's a
I guess
that's a scary precedent to
where I'm
set,
at.
and that's what I would caution this board against in doing this. You could have similar applications come through where they're looking to, there's a practical element to this, and I hate to throw a monkey wrench in it because I understand what's trying to be done, but it could conceivably set a precedent, because I don't know that this situation is that much different from any other situation.
So
You've got legacy waste. I guess that's the.
Let me
piece
ask this
that's
question,
stored
because
here.
the
Yeah.
process really would be then to go back through the process of a subdivision, is that correct? And subdivide that 5 acres off rezone it, and then the ag ground stay, I don't think you're gonna get a complaint one way or another from anybody out there. I really don't, otherwise they'd be in here right now. And then we don't erode the process. It's gonna take a couple months longer, but I just,
So then you'll be, Stoner Top would have to have two parcels, one in a subdivision, one not, all the same operation with
I
a
know,
property
that's-
boundary to contend with.
Yeah.
Currently, the new 5 acres, you can't build under the south 2/3 because it's in the, under the easement of the tri-state power lines.
so is that where the yellow line stops? None of that can be built under, right? I mean,
Travis, can you go to the, plat? I think it's underneath that.
How long has the waste been there? Does it predate the,
Yes, sir.
It
We
pre-
we bought the property in 1992, and
Okay.
it was there when we,
It's been there for a long time.
It's been there for,
Been there for-
since the 70s, I would guess.
so I think I think that arguably, if you're gonna do this, that's your extraordinary circumstance. You've got
We're looking
legacy
at-
waste.
40 years,
Mhm.
40-plus years of
Accumulated.
product, so, okay.
I just don't think we can get into situations where we actually got, like this, where we got the waste already there in other industrial
Yeah,
deals
that's,
that expect to expand.
yep.
I mean, I guess this to me is a lot different because that waste is already there.
And I think that's a key point, that the waste predates the land use code. When you said the waste had been there for 10 years, I was a little confused as to whether it had been there for 10 years, because obviously 10 years doesn't predate the code, but if it's been there since
40
before the
years.
code, then that probably is somewhat of an extraordinary circumstance.
Some of
Okay.
that waste's probably been there for 40 years.
Mhm.
Or
I mean, I
longer.
don't know when they started Stoner
I-
Top, but it's been there for a long time.
You can come to the mic, if you would come to the mic.
Yes, by granting us this 5 acres would help facilitate my recycling process, and we're in the process of recycling this waste, and it would help me.
All right.
So it's been there already decomposing for a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I guess I don't have any problem with
Good.
it.
I'd-
Okay.
I'd find-
So there's your extraordinary or exceptional condition. You've got legacy waste outside the light industrial zone that actually predates the land use code.
All right. Okay.
You want to go ahead, Darryl? You want me to do it?
I don't care.
Go ahead. I would so move we grant the variance submitted by Billy F. Ragland and Sons on property located at, to be determined Highway 184, consisting of 156.99 acres, with the exceptional circumstances of that legacy waste being there and being incorporated back into the industrial zone.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the variance application submitted by Bill F. Ragland and Sons on property located at TBD Highway 184, Dolores, Colorado, consisting of 156.99 acres more or less. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, there you go. You have that
Thank you.
variance approved.
Now we got to adjust the boundary line.
All right. Number 3, Don, go ahead, next.
So continuing on with the conversation, this is a boundary line adjustment application to convey 5 acres from the Ragland property to the Stoner Top property.
Okay. All right, Commissioner.
You okay?
Yeah.
I move to approve the boundary line adjustment application that's submitted by BLF Ragland and Sons on property located on, to be determined, Highway 184, located south of 184 and east of Road 23.5, conveying consisting on the, to the Stoner property incorporated, 15.16 acres. We're adding 5 to that, or is that including 5?
What's that?
We're adding to it.
We're adding
Adding to it.
Mhm.
5 acres to Stoner Top.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept and approve a boundary line adjustment application submitted by Bill F. Ragland and Sons on property located at TBD Highway 184, Dolores, Colorado, consisting of 156.99 acres more or less, located south of Highway 184, east of Road 23.5, situated in Section 3, Township 37 North, Range 16 West, and N.M.P.M, and Stoner Top Incorporated on property located at 23966 Highway 184, Dolores, Colorado, consisting of 15.68 acres more or less. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, sir. You have that boundary line adjustment approved. You guys are all good to go.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate your time. Hmm?
Thank you, Commissioners. That's all we have for today.
Thank you.
All right.
Unless
Well,
you've
thank
got
you very much.
All right. Thanks.
All right, appreciate it. All right. Next up, we have our public comment session. The Board of County Commissioners welcomes you to this meeting. Persons speaking during public comment will be limited to 3 minutes, or depending on the number of people wishing to speak, it may be reduced to allow all the members of the public the opportunity to address the board. When addressing the board, please state your name and address for the record prior to providing your comments, and comments to individual supervisors are not permitted, and participants may not yield their time to others. And with that, our public comment session is open. All right, seeing no public comment, I'll close the public comment session, and we're going to jump right down into new business. Travis, we have a letter of support for the Southwest Memorial Hospital Foundation, and we have Abby. Either way,
There.
wherever
Stand
you're
up,
more
whichever.
comfortable.
Good morning. My name is Abby Neesel. I'm on-
Turn your
Turn your mic on.
mic on.
There you go.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Good morning. My name is Abby Neutzel, and I'm honored to serve as the president of the Southwest Memorial Hospital Foundation. The Hospital Foundation is a nonprofit that exists to support Southwest Health System and the citizens of Montezuma and Dolores counties. Southwest Health System provides a wealth of services to the rural Four Corners community. In addition to be a level 4 trauma center, SHS provides general surgery, maternal and pediatric care, primary care, and rehabilitative services. SHS is a key economic driver for our area and is consistently one of the top 3 employers in Montezuma County. Our current enterprise zone project will expire on December 31st, 2024. During this project, we utilized our enterprise zone project to raise funds from community members for COVID testing equipment. A fiber optic endoscopic swallow evaluation tool was purchased for the speech therapy department through donations. Prior to this equipment purchase, the closest health facility with this test was in Montrose, Colorado. We also successfully raised money to match a CDPHE grant to upgrade our emergency services ambulances with much-needed equipment. For the 2025 Enterprise Zone application, the foundation will focus on supporting the physical spaces of the hospital campus, supporting the expansion of healthcare programs and service lines to meet the needs of our citizens, and support the large infrastructure upgrades that are needed at the hospital. Our application highlights large medical equipment nearing the end of usable life with anticipated replacement in the next 5 years. There are also several planned construction projects to upgrade the existing conditions of our aging hospital building. The enterprise zone tax credit is a key component in marshaling community support for these critical hospital equipment and infrastructure needs. I'm respectfully requesting that this board provide a letter of support for our new enterprise zone project proposal. Thank you for your time and consideration, and please let me know if you have any questions.
All right, thank you. I don't have any questions, gentlemen, do you?
I just appreciate all the work the foundation does for the hospital out there.
Mhm.
Thank you.
And I will echo that likewise.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner?
Yeah.
I move to approve this letter of support for the Southwest Memorial Hospital Foundation and its enterprise zone project proposal to the Colorado Economic Development Commission.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to sign this letter of support to the Southwest Memorial Hospital Foundation and its enterprise zone project proposal. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great day. All right, Shane, you can come on down.
All right, good morning.
Good morning.
So what we have here is, there is 4 units for the sheriff's department that will be hitting that 100,000 mile mark next year that will need to be incorporated into the enterprise lease. We had Enterprise come down and they brought us quotes on different units, and this Dodge Durango was by far the cheapest. I have that here. So the F-150s that we were getting were going to cost us around $52,000, and we'll be getting these Durangos for around $42,000. So about $10,000 in savings to go to the Durango instead of the F-150. They did incorporate the upfit costs in these. It's a half down payment through Enterprise on the upfits. The upfits have gone up just like everything else in the world. The F-150s were around $16,000 last year to upfit. These have gone up to $22,000 per unit to upfit. But the joy of incorporating those into the enterprise lease is last year we got charged the lease while those vehicles were sitting waiting to be upfit for 3, 4, 6 months, because upfitters or our shop were all that far out to do those upfits. So incorporating them into the lease doesn't start until the vehicle hits the ground here in Cortez with stickers, lights, everything ready to roll. We'll put radios in them when they hit the shop, and they'll hit the ground running. So that's really all I have. We need to approve these to be signed and get these started. They won't come until beginning of next year after the upfit. We'll probably have them, Enterprise will have them by the end of the year, but upfitters are 2 to 3 months out at least on getting them into their shops. They say there's a huge shortage of people upfitting vehicles now, which I don't understand why, because it seems like there's quite a bit of money in it. But
Anything else you want to add, Travis?
No, sir, I think this is probably the best option that we have available right now.
Yeah, I'd just like to reiterate, this is obviously the best cost for the county. It is a SSV vehicle. It is specifically designed for law enforcement. The other thing that we're looking at is these 4 vehicles that were identified that are getting close to that 100,000 mile. By the time we get these, we're still probably realistically looking at February. So we are still a way out. And like Shane said, we don't start paying the lease until they hit the ground here, but they will already be upfit. So they are paying for them up there while they're waiting for the upfitter. The two proposals that we did get, one of the upfitters, I think she said, they were like 18 months out.
Yeah, they would be
So
midsummer to next fall
So
before they
we're-
can get.
we're really struggling with the upfitting, and, again, upfitting, I mean, $22,000, it just becomes more and more outrageous. So that would replace the four that would be coming up for replacement, if we choose to replace them. And that's the other part of the conversation is, we had talked a while back that we were not going to. We didn't feel that everybody needed a ride home. But that's a decision that the board has to make, whether we choose to or not to. But I do agree with Shane that this is the best option that we have in front of us today.
And I will put forward that the public surplus did end that auction, and there'll be roughly $88,000 going back into the general fund off of those vehicles that were sold.
I
That
looked
could
at
go
that.
towards this lease.
I looked at that yesterday afternoon. They were looking, I couldn't believe it, but
Yeah, there's
Pretty
around
good.
6,000 that'll be divided up between the road department and the fairgrounds, and then everything else were old patrol units, and that equaled up to be about, the actual number is 88,672.
So the monthly lease payments, if you guys looked at this, will be the 1224. And like Shane said, the capitalization price reduction is the 50% for the upfitting, and that's the 11,050. So,
And the other thing on the new leases is we pushed them out to being 5 years, so the residual is basically nothing. I mean, if you look at the reduced book value over 60 months, is we would owe $581 at the end of the lease. And then they will sell the unit, and the money sold will go back towards, it'll just go back into general to go towards leases
Yep.
for the next year.
so,
But switching them out from a 4-year, because the 4-year residuals were around that 9 to 10,000 mark. Switching them to a 5-year puts the reduced book value down to that, basically
well, we
paid
also
off.
evaluated it too for just the upfitting, because the upfitting, we could get another year out of it. We're still kind of calculating about 20,000 miles per year, so we figured that we could get 5 years out of it, maybe plus 100,000, just a little, but they're going to be they'll be very close. One may be more, one may be less, but they'll still be within that range, so.
And the one thing I can say on the take-home vehicles is these officer-involved shootings we've had lately, they do dispatch out. I've seen them, we've had them been worked on, and they have to come pick them up. They dispatch out all officers when something like that happens. So, all
This
feet on the
is-
ground.
This is the best option that we have available to us at this point in time. And obviously the best prices that we've had.
Is it the budget?
This will be.
Okay. All right.
And then also too, this money that we just received, we've got the
Okay.
money.
Well, I think we should do this. I mean, it's not gonna get any cheaper, and times after November may get a little thin around here, may get a little tight, so we have the opportunity to do this. I think we need to do it. And I would so move that we do this.
Okay. Good, Commissioner.
Well, I guess my only concern is, if we're gonna concentrate these vehicles where they're using it more than taking them all, where each individual has their own vehicle, is that 20,000 miles gonna be realistic a year?
We actually looked at the mileage, other than the ones that are leaving the county. Those ones are getting a lot of miles on them.
And this keeps the exact number for, they don't have any pool cars left, but there's still an exact number for take-home vehicles for every officer. So we're not doubling anything up. We're not adding any more mileage to any of the fleet right
We're
now.
not to that point of doubling
No.
them up. Okay.
Like I said, there may be some just a little over 100,000 and some under, but they're gonna be within probably 10% of that 100,000.
And this is still a take-home vehicle for every officer. Like I say, there's no pool cars, nothing sitting over there for them to take home at this point, but this is the bare minimum number for everybody still to have a take-home vehicle.
Right.
So we're not doubling up mileage yet.
And it's the best price right now. Like I said, in 2 years, these are probably going to be even more outrageous, and the upfitting will probably be even.
Well, the thing you have to consider is these vehicles as patrol units at 100,000 miles, they have sat and idled for
A lot longer than,
an extreme amount of engine hours, so they probably realistically have that equal to 150, 175,000 miles when they hit 100,000 miles, because they have so many idle hours on them.
I don't know.
So, well, at 100,000 miles, they have had
Yeah.
a hard life, so.
if they'd put hour meters on them like they do a lot of other equipment, we'd have an indication.
They actually have hour meters on all the new
do
stuff.
that?
They do, yeah.
Yeah.
You can,
You can switch to see how many engine hours in it.
Okay.
Will,
I think that's
blow
why
you
we-
away.
we, when we made that decision to push them back to 100,000 miles, that was one of the reasons, is that they are utilized more or run more than the average vehicle.
And I talked to Nate with Enterprise, and she said, once the lease is up, you don't technically, well, these after a 5-year lease will be paid for. We would end up, either we can turn them back in, or if there's one that has exceptionally low miles for some reason, we can keep it for another 2 years before we sell it. And then the ones that are already in a 4-year lease, we'll still have a residual of, say, $9,000 when we're done, but we can go ahead and keep paying that lease out for 5 years. When that lease is up, doesn't technically mean we have to return that vehicle that day. By no means. We can just keep paying the lease and keep it in our fleet until it hits closer to that 100,000 mile mark where we want to get rid of it.
But if you look at that auction yesterday, like I did, the newer, the more updated vehicles we can give is the better. I think you're right, Commissioner. I think we should move forward with it.
Before we go on, the reliability of these, are they comparable to everything else? I mean, better, worse?
So that was also the sheriff's concern too. And I would say any vehicle should be reliable up to that 100,000 mile mark. If we were trying to push these out to, it's not like some of the MOCO units that have 250,000 miles or something like that, it would be more of a concern, but up to 100,000 miles, there's basically anything. A Hyundai should be reliable up to 100,000 miles.
Yeah.
And they are, the concern is some of the bids were kind of more of just a work truck. They weren't an SSV, and these are pursuit vehicles, so they will have the heavier brakes.
Okay.
They should be able to withstand what police officers put them through. They're built for this. And there's only so many vehicles that are actually built for this. There's the Ford F-150 Responders, the Interceptors that are the Explorers, and then these Durango Pursuits. But they even dropped out the Ram 1500 Pursuits this year. They don't have them anymore.
So the only thing that was considered when we looked at this were the SSVs. We didn't look at anything else other than that.
Yeah, we looked at all pursuit-ready vehicles because they do need to be built as pursuit vehicles.
I'd restate the motion that we approve the sheriff's patrol car lease with Enterprise plus the upfitting.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the patrol car lease with the Enterprise with the upfitting as presented on the board. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, there you go. I
I think so.
think the DocuSign is
I think it's
with
a
me.
DocuSign.
I'll get it signed. Well, I'll look, but I think I did see it come in last night.
Good.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, Shane.
All right, Dustin, Mr. Dobry, coming down. We opened up some bids last week, and they were regarding the generator bids. You gentlemen have now had the opportunity to look at them and bring us a recommendation.
Good morning. I just wanted to give a brief recap of the process. This is the generators that are under a FEMA grant that we received last year. On April 9th, we initially bid, but we only received one bid. The grant required us to rebid before accepting a single bid. So then June 18th, we put out a new RFP. They were opened at last week's workshop. And then the results of the 3 bids that we received are Smith Power with a bid of $177,536, Native Instinct with a bid of $132,087.78, and Expedia Power Inc. with a bid of $97,956.16. All 3 of those bids meet or exceed the RFP requirements, and then we also included on that sheet the timelines. The timeline for Smith Power was 18 to 20 weeks. The Native Instinct timeline was 18 to 38 weeks, and then the Expedia Power was 17 weeks. So with that, the staff recommendation is to accept the bid from Expedia Power for $97,956.16. And I did confirm that the low bidder Expedia Power is not debarred and is eligible for work under federal grants.
All right, thank you, Robert. Any question?
That doesn't include installation?
That does not include installation. We separated the installation and the generators themselves.
Okay. You gonna do the installation, Dustin?
We're
Part of
gonna
it?
do the bollards and the concrete.
But we do need, there's a separate RFP out
Okay.
that is installation, and that'll come to the commission at a future date.
Questions, Commissioner? Okay. You want to scroll it back to the one that they're recommending there,
Yeah,
Travis?
excuse me.
Yeah. Going too fast for my eyes.
Right? Oh, it doesn't have a total on it.
Was it $97,956
And 16 cents.
and 16 cents? Okay. 97,956 and 16 cents.
Okay. Go ahead.
I so move we approve the purchase of the generators in the amount of $97,956.16 as per bid by Expedia Power.
Second.
So we moved in second to accept the generator backup power bid to Expedia Power in the amount of $97,956.16. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Thank you.
gentlemen, there you go. You're approved.
Thank you.
Get
Thank you.
them, get them squared away and get them coming. Before 2 years expire.
Yeah. Get them, let's see, get them installated. Yeah.
All right, next we have an executive session. Ian, do you have the paperwork?
All the time, loaning you my pen. I would so move. We go into executive session for a conference with the attorney for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions under CRS Section 24-6-402, parentheses 4, parentheses B.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to enter into executive session for a conference with the attorney for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions under CRS Section 24-6-402, parentheses 4, parentheses B. Included in that executive session will be Kim Purcell, our clerk and recorder, Commissioners Copenhaver, Candelaria, Lindsay, Attorney McLaren, and Administrator Anderson. Is there anybody I've forgotten?
No. And the purpose of this this executive session is we'll be discussing legal issues related to the state severance tax. The state severance tax is a fund that's created in DOLA by statute. We get a portion of the state severance tax that's collected, and there are legal issues because in essence, the state is now, I guess the word you would use is rating that fund, and so we're going to be discussing legal issues surrounding that fund specifically.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, move us out.
We up, Travis?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
I would so move we come out of executive session.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to exit executive session and continue our regular board meeting. And with that, we did have a discussion, and I'm going to turn it over to Ian to lay that out.
Okay, so a lot of what was discussed in the executive session just now had to do with the state severance tax fund that's transferred to local governments. And one of the things that's happening this year for the 2024 year is that the state is taking a large portion of the funds that were granted by statute to the counties previously. Mesa County is planning to file a lawsuit against the state of Colorado, claiming that that they're violating the statute by raiding this fund. And several counties in the state of Colorado have elected to join this lawsuit. My understanding is that Mesa County will file a complaint in the suit at the beginning of August 5th or August 6th. And so at this point in time, this board has the opportunity to, if you guys want to, join the lawsuit. And so you can make a motion to do that. And if that's what you decide to do, then at that point, I will let Mesa County know, and we will get appropriate paperwork filed, and we can join in the lawsuit at that point in time.
Okay. Commissioner?
I move we join Mesa County in the lawsuit against the state of Colorado over the raiding of the severance tax fund.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to join in with Mesa County in the lawsuit against the state of Colorado as it pertains to the surrounding of severance tax fund. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, with that, we have another executive session for the purpose of receiving legal advice.
Ready? I so move we go into executive session for the purpose of receiving legal advice under CRS 24-6-402, parentheses 4, parentheses B, and legal question regarding the Lewis Cemetery District.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to enter into executive session for the purpose of receiving legal advice under CRS 24-6-402, parentheses 4, parentheses B, for legal questions regarding the Lewis Cemetery District Board. All those in favor? Oh,
Aye.
I'm sorry. Included in there will be Recorder Kim Purcell, Commissioners Copenhaver, Candelaria, Lindsay, Attorney McLaren, and Administrator Anderson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I move that we come out of executive session.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to exit executive session and come back into our regular board meeting. With that, we have received legal advice. We have nothing to take a stand on at this point in time, so we are going to move on with our agenda. Our county attorney's report is next.
Okay, biggest thing that I have to report this week, last Friday, we received an order, or Leslie received an order, I actually received it yesterday, from the District Court in Colorado pertaining to the CO2 Committee Incorporated versus Montezuma County and the assessor. This was the case filed by the fractional interest owners in the McElmo Dome unit. This was the case that they filed into federal court, I believe it was roughly 6-8 months ago. They made the exact same claims that they made in state court that the Colorado Supreme Court struck down. And so then they proceeded to file the case into federal court. A motion to dismiss was filed on behalf of the county. Nate Keever helped us with that motion to dismiss, and the court issued an order dismissing the lawsuit. In essence, they said, the state's ruled on this, this is not a federal issue, and lawsuit's gone and dead. So hopefully that will close the book on all of the Kinder Morgan litigation. I've said that before, but I think this should be it. And so that's certainly good news for the county, and good news for the assessor, and I'm glad that the court went the way it did, and thanks to Nate Keever, he was a big help in this too, and so certainly appreciate the work that he did on this. Other than that, I filed initial disclosures in our Leaf property case last week, and so just to comply with the rules of discovery, those were filed. We've got a case management conference in that case on the 8th of August. Got a conferral later this week, so we'll try to get a case management order developed. Basically, we'll develop briefing schedules and couple issues as to how the case will be dealt with, since that's a two-pronged claim, and I think we talked about that last week. And so that's where we're at with that. And other than that, I don't have anything to report.
All right, thank you, Ian. Any questions for him?
No.
All right, Travis.
Busy week. We completed some interviews for our finance director. Last week we completed one for our HR technician, made decisions for both, and they have started. Met with stakeholders regarding the community intervention program. That program is going to be transitioned to the city of Cortez. It's just realistic. They have the highest usage of that program, so they're going to oversee the community intervention program. We also met with staff at the sheriff's office for a budget training session, and that went really well. We flew to Denver, looked at the biochar facility up there. That was about a 20-hour day. We got to the airport, ran to the plane on the way home, got to the airport, ran to the plane. So it was very interesting to go see that facility. During that time, we also had a situation just for the community's awareness. We had to evacuate administration due to some threats. So thank you to Cortez Police Department and law enforcement for being present during that situation. And then Friday, we had a quick meeting with the community group on the concerns over ironwood and biochar.
All right, thank you, Travis. Commissioner Copenhaver.
This past week, we actually had the interviews for a couple of candidates for our AAA director, for Adult Aging Agency director. We'll make a decision in the next couple of days on which one of those candidates we're going to pick. I think Friday or Thursday evening, we have a meeting like at 5 o'clock or something like that to make that final decision, but that'll be made this week sometime. Mancus Days over this last weekend, Spent some time there in the park at one of the booths. County Fair's coming up this week. Everybody needs to get out and support the kids and get out to the fair and see what all's going on. I think it's good turnout. There's a lot of people already out there this morning. I see them doing some of the shooting programs this morning, and people were out there with their bow and arrows, and they were getting after it this morning. So it's getting started. Everybody can be good to get out there and support the kids. That's all I got.
All right, Commissioner Lindsey.
Yes, I did attend a Region 9, and it was hosted by the Mountain Ute tribe down at the casino. Very nice room, very good facility. I want to thank everybody involved down there. They put on a pretty good show. We were done about 1 o'clock, I think it was. We went from 9 to 1.
Quick.
It was quick. Our dues will remain the same this year, so we can put that in the budget. And like Darryl says, we've got a lot going on in the community. There's a balloon rally in the park starting, I think, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, Mancus Days, and the fair's going on. And like Gerald says, if you want to find out about 4-H, that's the place to do it. Those people will set you up and show you the ropes. They take time and will let you know what's going on and probably all the events. I know rocket launch was last Saturday and horse show was Sunday, so away we go. Everybody get out and have a good time. That's all I got to say.
All right, very good. Obviously, like these other two gentlemen, I was with them for all of the interviews. We did meet Wednesday afternoon to go over our fleet management with our vehicle maintenance, Shane Higman, and obviously we just looked at those and approved those today. We will be looking at some of the other white fleet as we proceed in the very near future. Again, I went with Travis to Denver, and we did run from airplane to airplane, getting off and on. However, it was a very long day, like he stated. But furthermore, for that day, for me, the biggest highlight was being able to visit with Boulder County Commissioners and their staff on environmental issues, and that was pretty enlightening. Boulder County has the luxury of having enough money and enough to put 2 people on staff just for looking at environmental issues in their county. So pretty awesome to have that resource that we can pick their brains and their minds and utilize it. Our workshop yesterday was budget presentations. We went through the entire county and everybody had the opportunity to present their budgets and their asks. We will now be looking at revenues and then seeing what we can or cannot do as far as that goes. And that is all that I have. So gentlemen, with that. Oh.
About, something about the budget?
Yeah, we're going to hold off on that one
Sorry.
for a couple weeks.
And Kim, do you have anything that you would like to? Okay.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn this July 30th, 2024 meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.